Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Show. So happy to have you with me this evening. A little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast. And yes, I am back again twice today. Oh my God, look at what I'm doing. I'm a madman. But yes, I am on now here at 7 p.m. to discuss something that I think is really important for many people, whether or not you have children in school, K through 12 or college, or whether you're planning to attend college, whatever the case may be. It's an important piece of our country because we fight about it forever. Been talking about it for decades. How to fix it here or there. People upset about what we should be doing about our education. And it's very rare people have any actual answers. Most of the time the answer is just school choice or more funding or whatever the case may be, but nothing is actually affected directly, right? And that is the problem. Nothing is directly affected. And we have to work on that piece. So let me see if I can grab a couple of these. And look, this is going to be a relatively long show. Most of mine are. I know. Yeah, what, Larry, a long show? Yes, obviously very, very common. However, I'm going to actually give you as many actual answers as I can, and I will answer those questions that you have to ensure we get a real answer, and also explain why some things don't work and why people don't even bother to fix them. Don't even bother to fix them. Yeah, so hopefully this will be an interesting show for you. I think you know it will be. I think you know. And if you do know that, what does that mean you should do? You should, absolutely hit and or smash and or crush the button that is known as like. Do that. That really does matter. That's important. If you happen to be watching this on Twitter or Facebook or wherever you're watching it, share this. We post this. It does matter. People have to watch this. How can they learn stuff if they don't actually watch? How can they call me names online if they don't know I'm here to be called a name in the first place? So please do that. If you like, it does matter. Subscribe, of course, as I ask you all the time. Click that bell for notifications. Make sure you know it so you can jump on board and watch the cool shows. All those things matter. So with that in mind, the first piece, some of you are going to say, well, Larry, all I ever hear from people is we should either keep funding, that's option one, usually people who lean more left talk about that, or the opposite is they talk about, well, we've got to just end everything, end the Department of Education, end everything. That tends to be people who lean more right. Let me cover both. The first one, should we fund it more? No. But Larry, why? That's crazy if we only had more funding. No. Let me explain why. I live in New York State. New York State is literally, and I mean this literally, the state with the most funding for school. We have the highest. We do over $30,000 per student. According to the national numbers, New York State gives, I'm not joking, $33,000 per kid in New York State. The highest, more than California, more than all of them, right? More per capita than any place in the entire country. Most. Generally speaking, depending upon how you look at it, our K through 12 is somewhere around mid, like 25, 20, sometimes as low as 35, depending upon what you're looking at. Like reading level in certain areas could be in the 30s, graduation rates low, and we have some of the worst school districts in the entire country. Rochester School District, the last time I checked, if you were a black male in some Rochester school districts, your odds of graduating high school were less than 20%. That is how bad New York State is. So throwing money at it is absolutely not the answer, right? That is absolutely not the answer. Matthew brings up, for that money, they could all have private tutors. Yes. You could literally have private tutors for every student for that. Yes, you could. That's accurate, 100%. Yes. But so throwing money at it is not the answer at all. And the system ensures we throw tons of horrible money at it. So that's not the answer. So off the bat, no. Can we fix it? Yes. It isn't just money. The opposite, just get rid of all the DOE and all the Departments of Education. I'm a libertarian. I love that concept. But if we just get rid of that and have no plan behind that, what winds up happening is chaos. And we will lose many kids in the process. So can we take that away? I think we can. Can we do it in a way where we don't throw our parents and kids into chaos? I think we can. Larry, will they go into chaos? Yes, we found it during the lockdowns. The lockdowns taught us that, right? I gave you the example for more funding in New York State. I'll give you the answer for just get rid of it. Lockdowns. When the lockdowns happened, most parents and most communities did not know how to support their own communities. The institutional knowledge has been destroyed because we've been focusing on government as our answer for so long that we no longer look to our communities for anything. So we didn't know how to take care of that. So what wound up happening? Well, we couldn't handle it. Mike brings up the solution is with parenting and family and instilling education in children. Yes, but we haven't had to do that. For decades, we just yell and go, teacher, teach, government, do. So are there individuals who believe that? Yes. As a community, have we? Not really. And we have to work on that piece also and provide some type of support to get people going there, right? We have to go there in that level. We have to go to a community to make that happen. And we have not done a good job of that at all. So that's the first part. So should we get rid of the Department of Education? I'll go from top and I'm going to go all the way to bottom too. Yes, we should. In the way that it is now. Do we have to destroy it? Not required. The Department of Education has actually existed in America for some way, in some shape or form, since about the 1860s. I'm not joking, in some way. But it didn't have any teeth until about 1980, give or take. What do I mean by that? It existed basically as a repository for information. And I'm not against that. People who know me know if we trust our institutions, and often we don't, but if we do, it's not a problem having government as a repository, a place where we can put all the data that people can look and see what's going on, what's right, what's not. Obviously, we have to trust them for that. But yes, that will be the concept, right, that we do. That, okay, I get that. And that's what it was until around 1980. The 1980s popped up, and all of a sudden now it got some teeth. Jimmy Carter, I think, began it. Reagan continued it. Now, I would ask you, if you're a bit older like I am, I was in school before 1980. Somehow people who went to school before 1980 learned to read, write, function, do change at the store without needing a computer, knew how to survive and make money, and survived well in our world somehow without a National Department of Education. Somehow people weren't so horribly, illiterate. Somehow it functioned. So is it required? No. And I would ask you, is there anyone who believes that since 1980, in the last 44 years, that education in America has gotten better in any way? No, it is not. If you have children now, look at how well they read. And maybe not your specific children, but then look at your child's peer group. How good do they read? How well can they do math? I think we know. What they're good at is passing a test, if at all, or studying for a test and regurgitating stuff. And Michael, Larry, see, because that's parents. No, that's federal government having control over it. You might go, Larry, that sounds crazy. But no. The budget for the Department of Education, them funding K through 12, is give or take $120 billion. I said it again. Do your homework. You think I'm making this up? What the Department of Education does, giving money, that's what it does. It gives money, and that's how it controls. It gives money to the states and to schools, about $120 billion. Last I checked, 6 billion of that, maybe 8 billion of that went to New York State. Well, New York State gets $8 billion from the federal government. If the federal government says do X, Y, and Z, what do New York State schools do? X, Y, and Z, because they want that money. And I said, wait a minute, how in the world do they judge how they give this money? Tests, test scores. Do you get good tests, take the test, apply to the test, do the test? Why do you think schools go nuts over making sure your kid takes this test and does well in this test or that test? That's how they get paid. Oh, Larry, there you are with follow the money again. Yes, my friend. That is exactly what I'm telling you. That's what it's about. Follow the money. They get paid by the federal government if they actually do the test that the government says. Now you might say, well, Larry, that's fine. It's fine. Who cares? But I still want my kids to be able to have things like, I don't know, civics and home ec and Sharpe and things like that. Well, here is your problem. That's not on the test, is it? Therefore, they don't care. Well, Larry, we have to have more funding so the kids can get Sharpe and so they can get this and that. No, that's not going to get all that's going to do is make sure there's more administrators. You're going to pay more administrators. That's not going to make sure the kids get anything better. No, that's not on the test. That's why they don't do it. If civics was on the test, if home ec or Sharpe was on the test, they would learn that. What's on the test? Language arts and math. That's it. Why do you think, and some of you who have kids in school, why do you think sometimes they cancel classes and cancel everything just so they can study for a test? You've seen that happen. I'm sure you have. No, Mom, we're not doing so-and-so art class today because we're going to do double up for a test and we have standardized testing coming up here. Some of the best schools are testing kids 2, 3, 4 times a week. How is that possible? How is that good? To be forward, standardized testing, for those of you who may get upset, but I'm telling you the truth, this is reality. You think I'm making this up? Doesn't matter, I'm right. Check it out if you want to. Standardized testing is absolutely no indication, none whatsoever, of success in life. None. You can be an amazing test taker and you may fail. You can be an amazing test taker and you may do well. It is not an indicator at all. It does not connect in any way with you being successful. Test taking is irrelevant. It is irrelevant. But that's what we focus on. So we focus on something in our current school system that is irrelevant in life. Let me say it again. We focus on this in our school system and it is irrelevant in life. We're not teaching people, kids, in any way, shape, or form, things like, I don't know, basic contract law. They're signing their lives away to click, on an app. Nothing. How to pay rent. What a credit score is. No. Who cares about that? Gone. We don't need any of that stuff. Let's just pass the test so we can get paid. We can get paid. That's the reason. And we get paid by the federal government, literally billions and billions and billions of dollars. And I say, okay, lad, but that's just one piece. Is it really that important? Yes, because the second way they get paid, believe it or not, is putting kids in college. Why do you think everywhere you see, they have that placement percentage, placement into college? That's how they get paid. So now your kid says, no, Mom, Dad, I don't want to go to college. I would rather get a job, or I would rather go to trade school. I would rather join the military, whatever your kid wants to do, right? No judgment, whatever you want to do. Awesome. Let's do that. No, guidance counselor won't say that. Guidance counselor says, no, let's get you into college. It's the only way to have success. By the way, an absolute lie. I'm not against you going to college. I'm against you thinking it is the only way to success. There are many reasons to go to college. Because some guidance counselor says so is not the reason. Keep that in mind. So they say, put you in college. Why? Because they get paid. I'm not joking. They get paid. The higher their college placement, the more dollars they get, either from state and or federal. When you count state, local, and federal funding in America, it's almost $900 billion. Hear these numbers I'm giving you. This is about people getting paid. They have decided that our children are a valuable asset for them to get their third home. And they say, Larry, teachers don't make that much. That's true. Don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming teachers here. And sadly, most people do. They blame teachers. I am not at all blaming teachers. I'm not. Most teachers are trying to do their best with what they got. Most are. In states like New York, it is a living wage. You get paid well, relatively, in New York State compared to some states where you're in Kansas, you're struggling, right? You're in New York, you're getting $70,000, $80,000 a year average, skewed depending upon where you are in a state, and of course, how long you've been there. Some teachers can make over 6 figures. It does happen. And that's fine. That's not, they're not buying a third house, whatever, a second house, but you have a living wage in New York State as a teacher. That's not true in other places. Administrators make a ton of money. In New York, administrators make at least $150,000 a year. We have administrators in New York State, school administrators, who make $400,000 a year. I'm not joking. I am not joking. $400,000 a year. And they don't even talk to kids. Not about it at all. What is their job? To make sure that $8 billion comes into New York State every year. They write grants. There are jobs in school districts. Their only job is to write grants begging for money from the federal government. So you might say, but Larry, I thought the federal government was, the Department of Education was valuable. It is not. The federal government, DOE, why so many people on the right get so mad about it is because it is harmful. It is literally harmful. It's not helping at all. It is harmful. And its own budget, it's for its own people, it's like $40 billion a year. For its own people. That doesn't count the 120 it gives away. Add 40 billion for itself, and that's the kind of money that's coming through. That's the kind of money that's coming through. So that is why people get so mad, because we're spending so much time and energy ignoring the kids, right? Second piece, I got to go into this. So now some kid says, hey, guidance counselor, I would like to go to some form of trade school while I'm in high school. In New York, part of it's called BOCES in many areas of New York, your state, whatever it's called. But when you're in high school, you get to go work somewhere. What does the guidance counselor say? The guidance counselor says things like, don't go there. That's for the dumb kids. Or don't go there. That's for the bad kids. That's what they will tell you. They will tell the parents that too. They will tell you that also. So now I'm a 16-year-old kid who would like to work with his or her hands, or maybe become a nurse or whatever. I'm gonna do something with my hands. I want to work with people. That's what I want to do. Okay. Sounds good. Everyone around you says you're dumb or bad for thinking that. What's a 16-year-old kid supposed to think? I guess they must be dumb or bad then. This is why you have a huge chunk of people who are now 29, 30, 33, 40, who are now going into the trades. Think about how we wasted their lives and put them in debt because federal money pays my salary. I'm not joking. That's what actually happens. Let me grab a couple of these before I give you some answers. Just so I want you to understand the background behind this. Lunatic Libertarian, thank you, sir. Where is the home training? Null and void. Well, I'll give you a little bit of a good news on that. A little bit. Not huge, but a little bit of good news on that. With the lockdowns, more and more people started bringing their kids home and being more involved in their schooling. So I think you did see an uptick. Didn't change the world, but I think there was an uptick. There was an uptick in that now more people are looking at that. I homeschooled my kids for a couple of years. I do think that's true. Yes. Ryan says, fire the necessary administrators would be nice. But here's the issue. Right now, they're necessary. That's my point. Do you want your cut of that $120 billion? Well, you better have administrators who can submit all the paperwork showing they've done what the federal government has told them to do for any initiative they've decided, taken the right testing, make sure the right kids do the right thing. Otherwise, you don't get that money. So my point is, if that money goes away, then those administrators are not required and they would be fired. So yes, but I can't just go fire them. Well, then who gets my money? That's not going to work. I have to make sure the money goes away. Then there's no need for them. And then they can pick and choose. And, I'm sure there are some administrators who are doing grant writing, but maybe talented in some other way. So you have to fire them, put them in a job that you need administrators, right? You need vice principals, you require them. You don't require entire buildings full of administrators who don't even see children. You don't require that. But you need some administrators. Of course you do, right? You do need some. So maybe they're talented. You put them there. No problem. I don't have a problem with that. My issue is how many we have. There are some districts in New York State where there are more administrators than teachers. Again, you might think I'm joking. I am not. So that has to change. The system allows the local people to get rid of the administrators who are not competent or only competent in certain things they don't require, right? I don't want to get rid of every administrator. I'm sure some of them are very talented. I'm sure some aren't, right? Because they're just people. So some are. Keep the ones that are talented, put them in different jobs. The rest, get rid of them. I completely agree. Lunatic goes on to say, thank you again for the super chat. Understand, Lara, you were never the debtor, always the creditor. You need to understand the U.S. code. You're not wrong. What am I going to say? Yeah. So, all right. If I can keep going on, let me move past this piece if I could. So now I've shown you that this is a heavy piece. They are pushing people into college who should not go, pushing people into debt with stories saying the only way to have success is a college degree. Let me keep going down the road. Peter, very funny. Peter says, I know millionaire plumbers. Me too. If some of you might have seen this, the South Park episode a couple months back talked about this. Like the handymen are all rich, right? And no one else can get a job. Yeah, because people do the job. People get mad. They go, oh, why we got these migrants coming in? Why do you think we got migrants coming in? Why do you think we got migrants coming in? Because nobody wants them? That's not true. That's not true at all. Lots of companies want them. Why? Because we've told our kids for decades now, since the 90s at least, that having a job with your hands is beneath you. You have to have a cool desk job and have a college degree. And if you have a college degree, you will somehow be able to magically have a great job, and that's going to work. We've taught them this for 30 years. What do you expect? The migrants come up and go, I don't care. I just want to make money. I'll work with my hands. I don't care. I just want to make money. I'll be a nurse, right? I'll be a home aide. I'll help build a bridge. I'll dig a ditch. I'll cut lawns. I don't care. If I can make cash, I make cash. I don't care. Some of these guys, they're doing work like cutting lawns and getting $100 a day cash. How many youngsters out of high school, out of college, with a college degree and now college debt, can even make $100 a day cash? These guys, some make $200 a day, $300 a day cash. I just said 100. 100 is for like lower work. They get more than that. Some $200-$300 a day. 100%. You give me $300 a day? So I got to break my back. Okay, break it. Let's go. I'm totally with you. I know a lot of people, and this is the funny thing. I used to give this story when I was running for office. I would say, this is our current system. We convince our kids that college is the only answer. And by the way, it's not the only answer. It isn't. Again, I'm not saying you should go to college. You shouldn't go to college if you don't have a plan. That's the issue. I don't know what I want to do. I guess I'll figure it out in college. Terrible idea. If you have a plan and that plan includes college, awesome, go. If you don't have a plan, do not go to college. It is a bad idea. It is a terrible idea. You will come out with debt, which will affect your entire life. I live in Manhattan. I live in New York City. And if you head to Manhattan often, but the Queens do, but head to Manhattan, you go to the local coffee shops. Tons of baristas there, all with college degrees. Some with master's degrees. They're baristas. Can't get jobs. Layoffs are coming everywhere. Who's getting laid off? The one with the master's degree, because they expect a lot of money. They have to get a lot of money because they have debt. Yes. So if you're that plumber, Peter, to your point, so you're the plumber. According to the guidance counselor, you're the dumb kid, according to the guidance counselor. So you go become a plumber. You spend a year or two figuring out what you're doing, trying to be a better plumber, working for some plumber. You then start to become a decent plumber because you learned a job after a couple of years. Maybe start your own business after 5 or 10, whatever, or just be a good plumber. You get licensed, you do a whole deal. Now you're 26 years old, been working for 8 years. You have no debt, and you're making at least, depending on where you're in the country, at least 75 grand a year. Some places you're making 100, 150, but you're making minimum, no matter where you are in this country, 75 grand a year is the lowest you're making. And you have no debt. You could be making 150, 200 grand a year by the time you're 26 years old because you're working with your hands. Easily could happen. Easily. Well, no, I'm going to go to college because I'm not one of the dumb kids. So I go to college, not know what I'm doing. The average kid today takes 6 years to graduate college. Let me say it again. That's the average. Yes, for a 4-year degree. The average kid takes 6 years if they even graduate. And young men aren't even going to college. In some colleges, it's 2 to 1. Colleges now, I'm not joking about this, are now looking at affirmative action for men because the colleges are full of women and not full of men. Men aren't going. Like, why bother? I'm not going. And they drop out and they quit. It takes 6 years on average. So if you're not average, it takes 8 years or 10 years if you even graduate. Graduation rates are lower than ever been. So if you go, you probably don't graduate. So if you go, here's the worst. You go, don't graduate, still have debt. Okay, but you go for 6 years. So now you're 24 when you get out. So now you're 26. You've been out for 2 years. You have at least 50 grand in debt, if not 100 or more. At least 50. So minimum 50 grand in debt, and no one wants to hire you. You only been working for 2 years. Who's the dumb one? I think the guidance got that wrong on which one's the dumb one. So I bring all this up because I do not want us to push that the only answer is college. People will keep telling you that. They are either wrong or lying. They are either wrong or lying. It is not the only way to success. Here's the remember. They go, well, look at the people over the course of their lifetime. Okay, if you're saying over the course of your lifetime and your data is, say, 10 years old from 2014, you're talking about people who have retired. So like 70 or so. So you were 70 in 20, say 15. You're 70, 75 in 2015. That means you were born in what, 1940? I get that right? My math about right? 1940, 1945? So you are now talking about people who went to college in the 1960s. That's what you're now telling. So you have to look at the data from the 1960s. How many people got a college degree in 1960s? Hardly any compared to today. Hardly any. So yeah, you make more money. Of course you would. Look at modern stats. Look at people who are now unemployed, underemployed. Underemployed people, almost all college degree. Now, there is one exception to that rule still. If you don't graduate high school. Not graduating high school, massive detriment to your income. But look at some of the most wealthiest, most powerful people around. Didn't graduate college. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying don't go to college. I'm saying stop believing it's the only way to success and stop going because you don't know what you're doing. Go when you have a plan. Why do I bring all this up? It goes right back to the same thing before, which is the federal government is pushing your kids into college. Last piece, the federal government is financing all the college. So why wouldn't they want you to go to college? The K-12 system is a broken system that produces kids who cannot think, who only know how to take tests, and cannot function in the world. It pushes them into college unnecessarily and into lots of debt, and it makes them unhappy. And why do you think so many college kids come out and the first thing they say is, it's the system, it's systemic? They're right. I don't mean to be that way, but I'm telling you the truth. They're right. It is systemic. They were told they're into, and their parents believe it too. The parents are like, yeah, you have to go to college. You have to. No, you don't have to. You don't at all. Not required. Go if you think it makes sense. Yopa says, Larry, do you think tests are a good way to measure how well students are doing, or do they limit creativity or individuality? How would you handle testing a system that values freedom and choice? So I'm not against testing. I'm not. If you want to make sure someone has a minimum pass or fail to move to a certain level, nothing wrong with that. But it's just to make sure they can make it to the next level. If you want to say, hey, before someone goes from first grade to second grade or whatever the issue is, here's a minimum, pass or fail. Did you get past this? You did? Awesome. Of second grade. I don't mind. It's fine. If you want to put someone into academics, that's wonderful. In the academic world, schooling matters. Outside of that, it really doesn't. To be very forward, it really doesn't. Except for things like networking and such. But I'm not against testing. I'm against standardized testing that gets you money. Let me be very clear. I'm against standardized testing that gets you money. But if schools want to use tests to say, hey, you have to pass a certain threshold to move to the next level, whatever that level is, or to get a certain class or do a certain thing, it's fine. No wrong with that. It's pass or fail, I think, is the right answer. But I'm not, this isn't my issue. My issue is standardized testing to get money just ensures that people teach only to the test and they focus only on the money. I hope that part is clear. So, yes. Morgan says, honestly depends on the field of study, though. Yes, agreed, which is why I said you have to have a plan, Morgan. If you're saying, I want to be a lawyer, go to school. Makes total sense. You have a plan. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. Go to school. Makes total sense. But the vast majority of kids are not doing that. They're like, what are you going to do? I don't know. I just thought that's a party school. That's happening every year. That's a terrible idea. Again, not against college. Just you have a plan. Now, Larry, what if he doesn't know what he wants? Why do you have to go to college at 18? Go to college at 20. I went to college when I was 21. I didn't go until I was late. I was in the Marine Corps. So I didn't go to college until later. Right? But go whenever. Go. I was a much better student. If I'd have gone to college after high school, I'd have been a terrible student. I was a great student because I knew what I wanted. I was much more mature. I had a plan. It made total sense. That's when I went to college. Go to college when and if you have a plan. If you don't have a plan, don't go to college. So I'm agreeing with you, Morgan, 100%. If you're like, hey, I want this career, college is required for this career, or college is the right answer for this career, please go. That's the issue. Yes. Mike says, nowadays with the internet and technology, you can make a living different ways, regardless of a college degree, and possibly work for yourself. Very true also. That's the future right now. I completely agree. So, but the advantage of a college in that case might be to network, right? If you look at many colleges, not all, but many have good alumni groups or networking groups, very valuable, right? If you look at Wall Street as an example, Huge amount of people, officers from Annapolis, Marine Corps officers, naval officers, huge. If you get to go to Annapolis, you're set. They'll know you, trust you. They'll bring you into their world. So if they have a good networking or a good alumni association, not a bad deal for that, right? So there's other reasons for that too. So I hope that makes sense. All right, I'm going off. Let me keep going if I could. So how do I fix these? I've told you the problem. So what happens? How do I get rid of this and then still make things work? All right, first piece. I'm going to start at college now and then come back to K through 12. College. The first problem in college, assuming you get rid of assuming you get rid of the incentive to push kids into college, so get rid of that. Second piece, the federal government cannot anymore give any loans to sponsor college at all because it seems like it's free money and people take it as. They can't. It's a terrible idea. It must stop. But Larry, how will kids go to college? I will tell you how they'll go to college. And here's the actual plan. Right now, if you want to go buy a car. When I was young and I went to go buy a car in the 80s, yes, that's when I bought a car in the 80s. Telling you how old I am. When I went to go buy a car in the 80s, I had to go to a bank, show them the registration and the VIN number for the car. They would look at it, and then they would agree to the loan. The loan would be with the bank. I would get a check from the bank, go to the dealership, and give them a check. That's how it worked. Not anymore. What happens now? If I want to go buy a Ford or a Honda or a Toyota, whatever I want to buy, I go to, Honda, whatever. I go to Honda, and I'm going to loan the car. They go, great. You'll take it through Honda Finance Corporation. Yes. The car companies now finance their own cars. That's the norm. That was not the norm when I was a youngster. When I was a youngster, the bank did it. Now the car company stuff does it. Great. Allow all colleges to fund all their own college, to give loans for all their own people. That's all. You want to go to Columbia University? Awesome. We'll finance through Columbia's finance company. Wait a minute, Larry. How can I afford it? First off, all these big companies, these colleges, all have massive endowments. Massive endowments. Take those. Use that to start your banking company. If not, have someone else do a banking company for you. You can do it. You'll find an answer. You have all these alumni. They can't put it in. Now, if your alumni won't come together, and they'll get a dividend back on it, right, and invest in your college is garbage. Let me say it again. If you don't have enough alumni who trust your college to invest in your college, to create this fund so you can start doing loans, your college is garbage. That means the people you're putting out aren't getting jobs. Go under. Good. You're a garbage college. Go under. I don't mind. Not just that. It means right now the college has no incentive to give you a good education. None. No incentive to get you a job. None. Their incentive is to give you a sheet of paper. Why? You're not the customer. The customer is the government or the banking institution. You're not it. You're in the way. You're in the way. You're annoying. You're in the way. So they don't care. You don't get a job? Oh, well, who cares? I got paid. And you're going to keep paying me because you can never stop paying me because of you can't even get bankruptcy and get rid of your payments. So you're paying me. So I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. I'm getting paid. College is getting paid. They don't care. But what if all of a sudden, if you can't get a job and you can't pay your loan back, they don't get paid? All of a sudden, that college cares if you can get a job. Not just that, what will happen? Pricing will come down. Why? If it's too high, you can't pay it back. Not just that, they will change the pricing for the actual degrees. They'll have to. So an engineering degree might be higher because the odds of you getting a job is higher. The odds of you getting a good job is higher. Some liberal arts degree where you may not get a good job, it's gonna be $8,000. Because you're gonna be a barista. So it's gonna be $8,000. Because they know that's the only way you can pay it back. It would happen naturally. If you just shifted that, the entire thing would change. That's all you need to do. If you just did that, you give the incentive for the college to actually give you an actual job, to get you a job, to teach them that matters, to make you ready to have a job and to work. It's now their incentive. Right now, it's not. But it would be if that happened. They would want to do that. Not just that people go, hey, are you paying for loans? I am. Oh, my God. Boom. People start doing that. It would change. And now college's job would be to make their students happy because their students are actually the customers in this case. But Larry, what about the people who already have all this debt? Yes, I feel bad for the people who have lowest debt. I do. And we should do something to help them out. Number one thing we should do is, because most of this, about 80% of all the debt's actually owned by the government. Most of it's owned by the actual government. The U.S. government is owned. So yes, they do get paid. The government keeps getting paid on this. Yes. Of course the government gets their cut. First thing we should do immediately is erase all, and I mean this, erase all interest retroactively. First thing, don't erase the debt. You took money out, erase it all retroactively. So all interest you paid in the past is now put towards your principal, and there's no interest in the future. That will give a lot of relief to a lot of people, but still doesn't, they got to pay it back because some people work their ass to get through. So, but no interest retroactively. Some people will be out of debt. People have been paying for 20 years and still have college debt. A lot of them will be out of debt immediately. Some won't, but many will. But you've been paying for 20 years. It's fine. You already paid it back. So you still have to pay it back. No interest, retroactive. First thing, just done. Do that off the bat. Next, if bankruptcy is the answer for you, and I hope it isn't, but if it is, you should be able to discharge your debt like any other debt. Obviously, our president, Joe Biden, was part of that, writing that deal to where you can't discharge your debt, your bankruptcy. In bankruptcy, you can't discharge your school debt. Yeah, that's illegal right now. That has to go away immediately. If the bankruptcy is your answer, and I hope it isn't, but if it is, you can discharge it like any other debt. Why is that special? Because government says it's special. To be forward, if you went to college and you went bankrupt, is that degree worth it for you? Maybe, but maybe not. So yeah, got to get rid of that. So get rid of the loans. Don't make that happen. Don't get any loans. Joe brings up ITT Technical Institute was ripping off students and they couldn't fulfill their lifetime promise to get you a job. So loans can be together. I'm not sure what that means, together. Yeah, but most of these places were getting financial aid from the government. That was the point. So they didn't care if they can find you a job. They didn't care. That's why they were scamming. They were scamming because the government was giving them money. You'll find people say it's because private colleges. That's not the reason, right? The reason is the private colleges are getting government money. Government money is the issue. Get rid of the government money and the private college has to actually do something. Or again, if you have to be able as a college to finance your own students. If you can't finance your own students, then why are you even here? Why are you even here? Can't. The anti-corporative says, thanks for being a member. I appreciate it. Okay, but what about all the jobs getting automated anyway? Well, then shouldn't they teach you how to deal with that? That's the point. Literally the point. Colleges are supposed to be, they're not, but they're supposed to be cutting edge. Isn't that what you go to college to learn the cutting edge stuff with the people from the industry? And that was supposed to happen? It's not. Why do you have to have on-the-job training if you have a college? Because it's not that. Colleges will have to become training for whatever that thing is. If the job gets automated away, does someone deal with that automation? Is there a new job coming up? Colleges should be handling. That's not my job, anti-corporatist. That's the college's job. They can't do that. They don't get paid, do they? I guess they fail, don't they? In which case we'll have less colleges. I'm not mad about that. I'm not mad about that. This is the point. This begins over time to support and fix the college problem. Less people will go, which is a good thing. I want people going because they want to go. Colleges will have to be better or they'll go under, right? They'll have to be. And they'll have to get people jobs or people can't pay back the loans. They will have to fix this issue. I don't have to know that. Neither do you. The college has to. If they don't know it, nobody's going to go. They go away. That's the issue. They go away. So I'm totally happy with that idea. I don't have a problem with that at all. I'm completely okay with that. So that is how we deal with the actual college problem now. Colleges will go under. I get it. I don't care. Some will get better. Awesome. Some will become much more focused. Also awesome. And many, believe it or not, will become cheaper. They'll become cheaper because some colleges are not meant to be technical colleges or law schools. They want to be things like liberal arts colleges, which again, not against, but you're not going to have to pay $100,000 or more for a liberal arts degree. That will go away. What will happen is you'll be paying like 10 grand for that kind of degree. And maybe you'll like it, but it's fine. If you're okay with that, no worries. But 10 grand, you could deal with that. You could actually deal with that. That's the issue. I hope that part is clear on that one. I hope that is. So thank you for that. So That is how we would handle the college side of it. It would take some time. You give some people who have debt a break, a big break. Again, you erase the interest retroactively. That is how you relieve the debt. Does that make sense? So there's no payment. It's okay. How much interest you pay? That is now goes towards your principal and no more debt ongoing. This is the way you can give them some relief. If that makes any sense. And again, allow them, if it is their answer, they can go bankrupt if you need to do so and get rid of your debt. This will give a lot of relief to people who right now still have debt. And in the future, there won't be any more government college debt. It will only be to the actual college and their responsibility to get you that debt. And imagine if also some college has a 30% default rate on their debts, on their school debt. Who's going to go? Nobody's going to go. Nobody is. Absolutely. They wouldn't. The anti-corporate says in Scandinavia, they actually paid a stipend to go to college because they think that going to college is your job. Well, two pieces. One, the advantage of that's Norway. The advantage of Norway is, so people don't understand this, Norway has a massive, and I mean massive, sovereign fund. The sovereign fund has about $1 trillion in it. I'm not joking, about $1 trillion. If you have a $1 trillion sovereign fund for 5 million people, there are more New Yorkers in New York City than there are Norwegians. Only about 5 million Norwegians. There's hardly any Norwegians. So 5 million Norwegians and $1 trillion. I could pay everybody. Everything's free. Norway is basically a country sitting on top of an oil field. So it's tough, to do that. Finland too. Finland as well. There's 5 million Finns. 5 million. All of Scandinavia, there's more Texans. I'm not joking. There are more Texans than there are Scandinavians. So I get what you're saying, but Scandinavia is a little bit different in that regard, right? Particularly Norway. Absolutely, particularly Norway. So yes, he says Norway, Finland, Sweden, Denmark. Yes, add all of them together. Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, add them all. Texas is more. What, 10 million Swedes, 5 million Danes, 5 million Finns, 5 million Norwegians. How do I know that? I don't know why I know that. I just know stuff. I don't know why. It's like 80 million Germans. I don't know why, but that's about that. There's about 30 million, and there's about 30 million Texans. So there's literally more Texans than there are Scandinavians. Just so you're aware of that. Just keep that piece in mind when we're talking about that. So yes. Anyway, let me keep going if I could. Now I need to go to the local level. Just because we're able to fix this at the state level, at the federal level, that's nice. We do want to keep the Department of Education as a money-making, and I'm not joking, a revenue stream, voluntary revenue stream for the states. What do I mean by that? The Department of Education can still be a central repository for information, for data, for things like that, right? Almost like a Library of Congress type, that kind of thing. So now states or local schools need to know something, understand something, decide what their curriculum is going to be, know what's happening, to your point, know what's happening in Norway or Sweden, and want to figure out if they should adopt some of those things or change some of those ideas. The Department of Education at the federal level can be that. And they would pay for that, right? They'd pay X dollars per month for a subscription or X dollars per year for a subscription. They can go by school or by state, whatever the case may be. So now it becomes a money-making revenue source. What does that mean? It pays for itself. That $120 billion plus $160 billion total, all of a sudden becomes zero. So we get better service for $0. The Department of Education will have to provide value so that local school districts and states will want to buy its services. If they won't, why do we have them? Let me say it one more time. If nobody will buy their services, why do they exist? It's a very simple question. Are you telling me they don't want good stuff? All the administrators are bad and evil? I mean, I'm sure there are some. I'm sure there's bad everything, but I don't think every administrator is by default bad or evil. I don't think so at all. I sure as hell hope not. So they would spend the money if they thought it was right for their students. Again, if the students were their customer. Right now, the government is the school's customer. The government's the school customer, not the students. That's why they don't care about the students. So they just pass them through. New York City literally said last year, I'm not joking, I did a whole video on it. Eric Adams actually said more than once, we're going to teach our kids to read. Some of you just fell out of your chair. No, he said that. We're going to teach our kids to read. They weren't doing phonics in New York City. So my question was, what the hell were you doing before? I thought you were always doing that. No. Some of the lowest literacy rates in the country. New York. We weren't teaching our kids to read. We weren't doing it. Why? Because there was a plan that was implemented to teach differently. Why? Because you got paid if you took the plan. They didn't see if the plan worked or not. That was irrelevant. The plan was, how did they get paid? Note, I said this just the other day, if you were watching the other day, talking about people trying to put together plans and laws that would help people. And I said they'll never get passed. And they would say, why? It'll work. Doesn't matter if it works. What do you mean? How do they get paid? What do you mean? How do their friends and family get paid? If people don't get paid, government's a big grift, then it doesn't get passed. Doesn't matter if it works, it's irrelevant. Same thing here. They took these new plans and ideas. Remember Common Core? And be very forward. I'm not against Common Core at all. There is a small group of children who actually learn better on Common Core. Most do not. Most children do not learn better on Common Core, but some do. So what I would rather have is have Common Core, not as a mandate, which is what we did here in New York and many other states, but in New York, we mandated it. Doesn't work at all. We know this. We're getting rid of it now. Is to have it as an option for teachers. If your kid learns better on Common Core, let your kid go through Common Core. This goes back to my issue, anti-corporatist. The idea of just pass test. I don't care how you learn. I'm sorry, it was Opus who said that. Oh, I don't care how you learn. Learn 2 + 2 is 4. Learn how to read. I don't care what method you use. I don't know what style. Let teacher decide. Teachers go to school for tons of years to learn how to teach. I have an idea. Let them figure it out. Give them an option to use for each kid versus mandating. We mandated. Why? We got paid. So literally an entire generation of kids were destroyed. I'm not even exaggerating. You can look it up. Our Mayor Eric Adams in New York City said, proudly, we're going to teach our kids to read, like he had come up with some amazing idea. Literally said that. That's why we're so broken. That was federal funds. The federal DOE needs to be able to provide value to local states and local school districts that they are prepared to spend money for in some form. If they can't do that, why do they exist? We should not have to pay one dime for a DOE. It should be self-sufficient. Like in theory, the post office is. It isn't. But it's supposed to be. The post office is supposed to be self-sufficient. It's not. But DOE should be able to be self-sufficient. If it's not self-sufficient, why do we have it? It makes literally no sense. I hope that idea makes sense at least. I hope that concept makes sense at least. Let me keep going if I could. Local level now. All right, now DOE's out of the picture. Okay? They're just there to help out when need be. That's $6 billion gone too. Uh-oh. Now what do we do? Now we got a problem. At the local level, we have to do many things. Number one, immediately, if DOE is out of the picture, there's no need for standardized testing. That goes away. Why am I against standardized testing? I'm against standardized testing for many reasons. Number one, standardized testing, as I said, is no indication of success at all. Not correlated in any way, shape, or form for that at all. Next, standardized testing shows if you're a good test taker. There are many kids that are very smart that are bad test takers. So what happens if you're a bad test taker? You get labeled as the dumb kid. You all know, you've watched it happen, or it's happened to you, you've seen it happen to somebody else, or your kid, or someone else's kid, you've seen it. Now you're labeled as the dumb kid. Well, you're labeled as the dumb kid. You're not treated like the dumb kid. So you act like the dumb kid because you're a kid and you don't know any better. So you wreck our kids and make them feel like they're stupid when all you've actually shown them is you can't comply effectively to my box. And you wonder why our kids are suffering. Yeah. So don't do that. Pass or fail is all you need. Did you make it past to go to the next grade? Yes. Congrats. Go. That's what matters when it comes to testing, in my view. People disagree. I'm still right, but you do what you want. That's the right answer. And move kids forward in that regard. There is no need for K through 12. K through 12 is useless. 12th grade for the vast majority of kids is a colossal waste of time and money and energy. Some kids are doing smart things. I'll cover them in a second. But the vast majority, it's study hall, video games, and smoking weed. That's what the last year of high school is for most kids nowadays. That's how it works. They're doing almost nothing. Most of them are doing almost nothing. And then, of course, they have bad study habits, so they go to college and fail and not ready for college. One of the reasons why it takes 6 years to graduate college is for most kids, the first year of college is actually 13th grade. It's a fact. You can be mad at me all you want. You know it's true. I've been seeing it. You're seeing it. I got kids. I have a kid who's 14 and 20. I know exactly what's going on. And if you're in this world, you know too. That's true. For most kids, there's exceptions, and I'll explain the exceptions in a moment. But that's for most kids. Waste time. And they're learning things, to be forward, they will never use. Most things kids learn in 11th and 12th grade, they will never use it. It's a vast, colossal waste of time, money, and energy. They will never use it ever in their entire life. A colossal waste for most kids. Again, there's exceptions. I'll cover those in a second. So what's the answer? K through 10. Not K through 12. K through 10. Kindergarten through 10th grade. The goal of elementary school is exactly what it says. Basic reading and writing. Understanding how things work in general. Junior high school should be learning how to think. High school should be figuring out what your next step is. That's how it should be. High school should be things like, again, learning basic contract law. Yes, learning how to repair things. I don't care if you're a man or woman. If you want to divvy that up in your world with home ec and shop, I don't care, but please don't make it genders. But you want to let people decide they want to go versus shop or home ec. It's fine, whatever. I don't care. But things like that. Why don't we know how to pay a credit card? All these things, basic financial stuff. That should be how it is, right? What difference between a lease and a buying? What's a rental agreement? I'm dead serious. This is what we should be teaching in high school. Grades 9 and 10. After grade 10, everyone take a test. 16 years old, take a test. Pass or fail. Did you pass the standards of a given state? Whatever those states have their own standards. You did? High school diploma. I'm not joking. High school diploma. Now, in a place like New York State, not every state has these rules. In New York State, we've decided that education is a right, and we must, by our Constitution, pay for college for grades 1 through 12. We don't have to, by Constitution, pay for kindergarten or pre-K. That's why there are special laws that we come in place to pay for those. But we don't have to by Constitution. By Constitution, you must pay to grades 1 through 12 in New York State. Other states have similar laws, maybe different. But the concept is, once you're 16, if you have to pay, you do it like this. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I got the GI Bill. I had X dollars and Y years to spend it. Good luck. That's what I had. Same thing for kids. You're 16. You have many options, but you have $20,000 or whatever. I'm making that number up, depending on your state. $20,000, 5 years to use it for any of the schools. I'm going to tell you in a second. Good luck. Now, what does that mean? Let's say you really love math. You think you might want to be a scientist or a doctor or something. Awesome. Take those 2 years and go to a prep school. And guess how much your prep school, your 2-year prep school will cost? Guess how much it'll cost? $20,000. How do I know that? That's what the government will give you. Or whatever number your state chooses. In my state, I pick 20. Pick whatever your number it is. That's what it'll cost. How do I know? That's what it always cost. Well, Larry, how do we know schools will come up? Because they're going to get government money. And bankers love nothing more than government money. Well, I'm sorry, there's one more thing they like. Bankers love two things: government money and incremental fines and fees. Oh, if you can get government money plus incremental fines and fees, bankers will just climax. They love those two things more than anything. So now you get guaranteed government money. Of course you open a school. You'll fund anything at that point. Government money's coming in. I'll fund it. So you will find schools open up. But Larry, there'll be bad schools and scam schools. No, they won't, because kids are picking them. So parents and schools are picking these places. If they pick them and you don't get a job out of it, no one will pick them anymore. Again, the incentive is to get you the thing you want. So let's say, for example, your kid likes math and wants to be a scientist or a doctor or something. Awesome. They go to a math prep school. It's focused just on math. But Larry, what about well running? Who gives a shit? That's useless. Nobody cares. Your kid wants to be a scientist. Put him into a science prep school. Now, if your kid goes, this sucks, good. He's still young. He has more time to use his money. He can say, you know what? I thought I would be a scientist. I was wrong. Great. What do you think you want to be? I don't know. Maybe I'll be an engineer. Awesome. Go to this place. Go to this school. Go to that school. I'm going to be a lawyer. Go to this school. Fine. I'm going to be a writer. Go to that school. There will be schools, specialized schools. You say, wait a minute, Larry. I don't think I really want that. I'm not a very good student, but I want to go to college, but I don't know where I want to go yet. Great. Just go to a general prep school. 2 years, prep school. Figure it out. That'll help you figure out where you want to go. No worries. Go to prep school. 2 years. Do it. Oh, good. Larry, I don't want that. I don't want any of those things. I'm super smart. I can pass all the SATs. I'm a super smart kid. Oh, great. Go right to college. Who's stopping you? There's no rule. Go to college at 17, 16. Go. You're a super smart kid. You're going to get a PhD anyway. Start your PhD now. Go. Who cares? Guess how much your first year, 2 years will cost? $20,000. How do I know that? Because that's the government money. There will be a school, a college that will cost exactly that because that's government money. That's how it works. I'm not making this up. It's how it works. And every time you see this happen, the same thing happens every time. It allows private schools to come in and give and make you the customer. The key is I don't want the government being the customer because the government doesn't care. I want the individual to be the customer. And you're treated right. Why do you think the wealthy are treated right? Because they pay. They are the customer. That's why they're treated right. So I would like everybody, not just the wealthy, anybody, whether you're from the poorest county in the country or the richest county in the country, whether your parents make tons of money or hardly any, you should be the customer. You should be treated right. This does that. But you go, Larry, I don't want any of that stuff. I don't care. Great, go start a business. Go get a job. Go work. Larry, you want kids at 16 to work? Yes, you're not going to die. This concept of we can't have our 16-year-olds working is insanely stupid. I mean, very insanely stupid. 16 years old and you can't work? What are you going to die in a bobbin accident? Get caught in a loom? This is not 1825. Stop. It's not going to happen. You're going to work in some office or go work on some construction site. Go work. It's fine. Learn work ethic. And I say this all the time, let our youngsters learn work ethic. Learn that when your boss says, come to work at 9, he means 8:45, not 10:30. Learn that when you're 16. Make those stupid mistakes. Realize how wrong it is so you learn a work ethic. I tell this story often. I'll tell it again right now. When I was running in 2022 and 2018, I tell the same story. I hear it all the time. I said, we need kids to have work ethic. They don't. It's very hard. Very few of them do. Why do you think migrants keep coming? Migrants know when to show up. And you're saying, well, Larry, you're a migrant. I'm not a migrant lover. I'm not at all. I know what business people want. That's what I know. There's a reason why they're flooding across the border. There's a reason. Because big business is picking them up and taking them left and right. That's why. And they're putting them in terrible positions. And it's all illegal work. And it's nothing but hurting people. Everyone is hurting from this. The migrants are hurting. We're hurting. This is not a good deal. Everybody's hurting. And one of the reasons, there are many, but one of them is we aren't taking up the slack. American kids aren't taking up the slack. This will help that. Won't fix it. It'll help it. Because they'll learn a work ethic. Same story. Larry, I can't get kids to show up. One guy says, he says, Larry, I have a very simple way of interviewing. I tell the guy the interview's at 8:00. I open the door at 7:45. If he's there, he's hired. That's it. That's the interview. I say 8, open up at 7:45. You're there, hired. Done. That was his, and he wasn't joking when he said that. I then told that same story to somebody else later when I was at a different event. I was on another event when I was running for office. Hey, the story. And one guy goes, oh my God, Larry's so right. He tells me this story. He says, last week I had 12 interviews. 6 were no-shows, 4 were late. So out of 12 interviews, 2 showed up on time. That's our fault as a society. Yes, that's our fault. And you wonder why so many kids go, society's bad. Well, we've taught them this. Let the kids work at 16 if they want to work. I'm not saying they should all work. I'm saying some kids want to work. Now, if you want to work, imagine you say, well, I want to work, but I want to be in the trades. Okay, great. Don't go to prep school. Don't go to specialized school. Don't get a job. Go to trade school. Imagine if you go to trade school at 16, not worrying about whether you're doing gym or English or other useless crap in 11th and 12th grade. You're going to function on your trade. In 2 years, depending upon what trade you're in, you could come out with a license. Some you will, some you'll, depending on the trade you pick. Some you'll still be an apprentice, whatever. But who cares? The one you pick. And you can bounce around, try to be a carpenter, a plumber, whatever's going to work for you. And be a mason. Who cares? Go to trade school. Maybe just try to become a nurse. EMT school. Firefighter. Whatever. Do your thing. Go to ROTC so you can join the military. I don't care. Whatever's the thing you want. Let the kids try and test here at 16. And here's the thing I always go all the time. Larry, if you do this, They're 16. What do they know? They're going to make mistakes. Better to make mistakes at 16 than 26. And right now, our kids are making mistakes at 26. And we wonder why they're still at home at 28 and 30. Because they're making mistakes at 26, not at 16. Make your mistake at 16, 17, 18. Most people still can go home to mom and dad at that point and be okay and still recover and realize I made a mistake. Try this, try that. And now by the time you're 26, you're rocking and rolling. You're in your first career. You're in your first. Half of these people, you see them. They're 24, haven't started a career yet. This style allows you to do so. This style allows you to do so. But I'm still not done. We have to stop funding schools the way we do. Right now, when we fund schools, we give them some kind of flat fee or whatever the case may be. And we have a system right now where you can't save money. I'm not joking. Some of you are like, what? You cannot save money. If you don't spend the money, you lose it for next year. Imagine how stupid that is. And that's our plan. Why do you think, if any of you who have worked in government before, you know what I'm talking about, at the end of the fiscal year, what happens? We have to buy a bunch of paper. We don't need any more paper. Yeah, but we got $20,000 left in the budget. Buy $20,000 of paper. Why? We're going to lose it. Oh, all right. And then there's a storeroom someplace with $10,000 worth of paper in it. Why? Because we had to spend it. We're using it? No. Literally wasted. All the time. Why do you think when you go, and now those of you that work the government know this. The guy comes to you, the salesman comes to you and says, I can give you a discount. And you go, don't do that. What? I don't need a discount. But I can give you a discount. No, don't do it. Why? I got to spend the money. It's in our budget. So the sales guy trying to close the deal, who maybe is new and doesn't know that a school district or whatever, a prison or a school, whatever they're selling to, right? Sheriff's office, whatever, doesn't realize, oh, you guys don't want a deal. He thinks he's working in the regular world where they want deals. Like, no, don't give me it. Then I got to find someone to spend his money. Can you raise the price a bit? Sure. Why do you think sales reps can't wait to sell to the government? Can't wait. There's no discounts. No discount. That's why. It's in the budget. We spend it. If we don't spend it, we can't. Those of you in the military, like I was in the Marine Corps. What would happen around September-ish? Some of you remember this. What would happen around September-ish? For those of you who don't know, the federal fiscal year ends in October. Around September, all of a sudden, we're all out in the field firing every round we have. We're getting rid of all ammunition. Just firing all the machine guns. Keep firing, keep firing. They used to have us, true story, they used to have us break equipment. Because if we didn't fix it, we lose it for the budget. Yeah, we lose it for the budget. Peace Lodge says, when did it go bad? What was the catalyst? It was the 90s is when it began to change. It began to change in the 90s. No kid left behind and garbage like that. That's when it went to hell, right in that area. 1980s, it started because that's when the DOE began to have power. And from then just went down and down and down. You cannot give the federal government power like that. The ability to give money or not give money. That's how they control. That's how they control. In New York State, when I was running for governor, by the way, thank you, Peace, I'll do for the $5. When I was running for governor, the first thing I said is I'm stopping to take all federal funds. Stopping it. Once you say that, the government has no power over you. Well, you must do X. I don't want your money, but you must. I don't want your money. We won't give you the money. I don't want it. So I'm not taking your tests. I'm not doing anything. I don't have to. I don't want your money. How did I do that? Here's the next thing. We have to have the money follow the kid. And I've heard that before 1,000 times, and I hear it all the time. But then, Larry, the poor schools. No, it's just not true. It's just not true. Money has to follow the kid. Whatever is your number, right? Is your number $10,000 in state one, $20,000, whatever your number is, that number follows the kid, period. If the number follows the kid, that changes everything. So yes. Ryan says, thank you, Ryan, for the $5 and also being a member. Larry, what you just said about working in the government with October coming, new fiscal year, gives me nightmares. Yes. See, it's not just me, guys. See, spending money, just do it. Yes, that was the thing. Spend it. Doesn't matter. Why do you think they have wrenches? Remember that story? There's a wrench that costs $20,000. Why is that? Because the people there are stupid? No, they're not stupid. They're still human beings like me and you. The people who work in government aren't by default bad people. The system is garbage, so they react to a garbage system, so you get garbage results. But the people are just people. They're trying to do their job right. Do you think I wanted to break night vision goggles? I mean, I said that because we actually do that. I mean, that's horrible. Sledgehammer. I think a sledgehammer. I'm going to say it. It's past the. It's many years. It's like 40 years. It's past the statute of limitations. Yes, my officers had me take a sledgehammer to night vision goggles to break them before the fiscal year ended, so we could pay to replace them, or we'd lose our budget. Yes, and that's not uncommon. And fire when I worked in an armory, right? That's how I was working in an armory. We'd have to take everyone and just fire all the rounds, all of them. Go outside, just start firing machine guns. I mean, not outside random, but we go to not randomly, obviously. Go to the range, firing all the rounds. Ryan knows too. Yes, October's federal government fiscal year and the fiscal year. Yes, just spend. So now I'm screwed. So here comes my guy who I like, Larry, my sales rep. I say, hey, what's going on, Ryan? What's going on? Dude, I got like $30,000. Dude, you want a toilet? I'll get you a new toilet. Yeah. How much? I'll charge 30 grand for it. Done. Yes. Boom, charge 30 grand for a toilet. That's why that kind of thing happens. Because if Ryan doesn't buy that $30,000 toilet, and if he doesn't spend all of his money, and they lose $10,000 or $20,000 next year, Ryan's in trouble. Ryan's not getting promoted. Ryan's getting scolded. So he better get rid of 30 grand. And I got the answer. Thank you for $30,000 toilet. That kind of thing still happens to this day and will keep happening. Why do you think the Pentagon, and this is not anything I'm making up here. Again, everything I'm saying you can check. I'm saying it publicly. You can check it all. Why do you think the Pentagon has not passed an audit in years? Hasn't passed the audit in years. Why? Because it's full of this. Full of this. How can we lose billions of dollars in Iraq, Afghanistan? How can we lose that money? Billions with a B, billions. How? Because of this. People aren't stupid. They're just human beings like me and you. Don't think government workers are dumb. Government workers are human beings who are trying to have good jobs, trying to make their life like anybody else. I'm not mad at them. Right? If you have a government job, good for you. Hope you pay your bills. Hope life is good. Right? The system is garbage. Garbage system, garbage results. Doesn't matter who you put in it. They're going to respond to their system. That's the piece that's important. So we have to make sure we do it first, K through 10. After that piece, money follows the kid. If the money follows the kid, it will change everything. Why? All right. Let's say, for example, this is the plan that I had in New York State. It can work in any state. I think we should be paid by a separate fund, similar to Norway, as you mentioned, anti-corporatist, similar to Norway. I think a fund is a good idea. I think New York should have one. I call it New York State Social Trust, but you don't have to. That is one answer, whatever the case may be. You pick a number. Argument's sake, $18,000. That's the number you pick. You figure it out within your own state. Every kid, every school district gets $18,000 for every kid enrolled in that school district. Period. So they get for every kid enrolled in that school district, they get $18,000. But Larry, what if there's more kids than one? Doesn't matter. They move around. Well, then how will they'll divvy things up? No, they'll divvy things up as they want to. What do you mean? The money's the same. Right now in New York State, you will find school districts break up or come together for only one reason: money. I'm not joking. What about serving the school kids? Doesn't matter. What about the parents? Doesn't matter. They don't care. They will break up on purpose so they can be principals. In New York City, I'm not joking. It's true in Manhattan. There's one building. This is common. And there's a different high school on every floor. Yes. Why? Why would there be a different high school on every floor? That doesn't make any sense. Why do you do that? There's a principal for each high school. They're all getting paid. Vice principals for each high school, all getting paid. HR for every high school, all getting paid. Yes. How do you think they come out with more administrators than teachers? Well, in one building, you have 5 high schools. That's not as it, guys. I know some of you can't believe this. This is the scam they do consistently. So, of course, now I got more administrators. I got 5 high schools. I need 5 principals. I got to have a dean for each one of them, don't I? Got to have a VP of XYZ for this too, right? Yeah, of course. Got to have them all. Yeah. Have a high school with 100 people in it. What are you talking about? It makes a match because cash. Take the cash away. The district gets the cash that it gets, period. It doesn't matter. If kids leave that school district, then they start losing money. They better fix something. They better fix something. Kids going to leave. Well, a lot of kids can't make it to schools. Yes, they can. Why? Because if one school district gets a lot of money, it'll create a busing program. We see it already. Private schools do it. Yeshivas do it. Yes, huge Jewish community here in New York City. For those who don't know, huge Jewish community. A lot of yeshivas. For those who don't know, that's a Jewish school. They have busing programs all the time. You can live anywhere. They'll bus you. They don't care. Why? Because you're paying. Why? Because you're the customer. Because you're the customer. I have to make the kids and their parents happy. I have to satisfy the kids. And the piece that I break on this one is, that is how you deal with the big issue when it comes to special needs kids. You look at special needs parents across states like New York and other states too. So many of the parents are unhappy. Why? What does the school district do? It provides services to the kid. That sounds amazing. That means nothing. Is your kid getting better? And the problem is with special needs, it's so varied. It's not a monolith. There are some kids if they tie their shoe that day, you are jumping for joy. Another kid, you're trying to figure out what job can they have on their own, and everything in between. Some kids, they're very easy, can get along with kids. Some struggle to get along with kids. It's all different. But what every single parent wants, in this case, is the same thing. Is my kid getting better? That's all that parent wants. They don't want services. They think that's what they need because they want their kid to get better. How do I know this? Because every year, thousands of parents sue New York State. Every year, thousands are suing New York State for not giving them a good education because for the special needs kid. Why? Because the kid's not getting better. They're just getting services. They're checking a box and nobody's happy. Well, what if the money follows the kid? What would happen? Clearly, you would have special schools for different types of kids with different special abilities. Of course you would. Whatever issue, whatever disability you have, there'd be schools that would take care of that. Why? Because you would flock there. Because you would see your kid get better. And they would get paid. Why? Because the money follows the kid. But Larry, I would like a private school. Okay. Larry, I want a homeschool. Okay. Take a chunk of that and take that as a credit for you to homeschool your kid. So you said, Larry, my kid, I want to homeschool him. Or maybe your kid's special needs and you need to homeschool them. You decide. You're the parent. You pick. So $18,000 goes to the school district, but you have a $6,000 credit to homeschool them. Imagine if you had a $6,000 credit. That would change the thought process of people homeschooling their kid. More people would. Not just that. What if you got 4 kids who had special needs together, or had the same needs? Whatever not even special, just had their own same needs together. 4 kids together. That's $24,000. Somebody would stay home and teach those kids for that. Somebody would. Of course they would. They'd be able to help out now. Of course they would. Easily start private schools. Easily. $6,000 a kid. That's the tuition for schools now. But here's the best part. Since you're still getting $12,000 to the district, you can still use district facilities. So your kid can be homeschooled and still be in the math club. Homeschooled, still be in a football team. Homeschooled, use the school library. Why? The $12,000 is going to the school district to keep it up. Homeschool your kid, private school your kid, still be in a football team, math club, library, the whole deal. All this can work. All this can work. I've just shown you in detail over the last hour how we can fix our education system. And to be forward about this, I've been saying this almost exact plan for 6 years. How do you know? How could I say it so easily as I just did with no notes, just talking it out? How could I do that? Because I've been saying it for 6 years. For 6 years, I've been explaining how this can actually work. And has anyone picked it up? No. Literally on my website. Said 1,000 times. No. Why? How do people get paid? As I said before, where's the grift in this? Where's the grift? Where are the literally $120 billion of grift from the federal government? That all goes away. Where's that? Where is the idea, and Bobby Kennedy Jr. brought this up, that the best thing for many of these pharmaceutical companies is a sick kid. Well, the best case for the school system is just any kid who just is stuck, a stuck kid. You can't go anywhere. You stand with me. I'm getting paid. That's how that works. So I know I brought up a lot. I hope that was clear. I want to start going through, if I could, some comments. I know I didn't do many comments. I wanted to cover this piece. Remember, this piece is, when I do this show, the Sharpe Solution Show, it's about getting the solution out first to make sure you understand there's an actual solution. I wanted you to understand that I don't just talk about theory. I talk about actual solutions and how things actually work and how you get around them, right? I talk about those things specifically. So, I'm not just going, this is just a cool idea or some theory. And I'm happy to have people comment. But before we do that, please click, smash, whatever, the button that is like. Please do that. It is important. I keep telling you why. Because I constantly get shadow banned. People don't like what I'm saying. So I'm shadow banned constantly. How do I get around that? By you liking, by you sharing wherever you are, whether that's a retweet or a share on Facebook, by you subscribing to my YouTube page, clicking that bell notification. Please doing that. If you want to, you can super chat me. I love super chats. Help tremendously. Become a member. Helps you out permanently. Click that join button. $5 a month. I do a whole lot more of this. Educating the world, I hope, to the best of my ability. But no matter what, click that button that is like. Let me try to grab some of these comments if I could. All right. Let's see here. Joel says, $30,000 a year for 13 years should produce graduates or doctorates. Yes. Oh my God. We're dropping $33,000 or $34,000 a year. I think it's like 38, depending on where you are. Like New York City is more than the rest. Like $38,000 in New York State per year. You're dropping $38,000 per year. Why isn't every single New York City graduate literally a rocket scientist? Everyone. We should be knocking out rocket scientists like there's no tomorrow. That's what should be happening. 38 grand a year? Terrible. Terrible. So, yes. James says, college is a scam for most people, even with financial aid. Sadly, that's true. For most. Again, I'm not saying you shouldn't go. Go because you have a plan. Ryan says, get rid of federal Department of Education, give it back to the states, and more importantly, local school boards. Thank you. You just brought us up. The problem now we have, and you might go, well, Larry, school's local. In theory, it is. In practice, it's not. Let me explain why. Thank you for bringing this up, Ryan. It's very savvy of you to bring this up. If the federal government says you can have the $8 billion, in case of New York, $120 billion across the entire state, country, you must do X, Y, and Z. Well, someone has to pay for X, Y, and Z. Usually it's the local school district that pays for that. Well, if the local school district is mandated by both the state and federal government to get money to do certain things, it must do them and pay for them. But then what's left in the budget? There are some counties here in New York State where they're only able to control 5 or 10% of their budget. I'm not joking. 90 or 95% of their budget is taken up by what's called unfunded mandates, meaning the state tells you must do and pay for this. The federal government says you must do and pay for this. We're not giving you any money unless you do this. So their entire budget is doing what the state and federal government tells them to do. So then you, Ryan, get on the school board, you can't change anything. All you can do is cosmetic stuff. You physically can't. There's no money if you do anything unless you do what the government says. That's why it winds up to where you can't do it. So your point about getting rid of the Federal Department of Education, my point is get rid of their ability to move you, which is no teeth, no money. Then I don't care if it exists. If it exists as a place you can buy stuff from, I don't care. But as long as it's not controlling with money, I don't care. By default, local people have more options. You might go, but Larry, some local people might do stupid things. Yes, people are humans. Mistakes will be made, 100%. But here's the issue. If some local school board does something stupid and does something bad, that sucks for that group of kids for 1 year. Sucks for that group of kids for 1 year. The other districts look by and go, well, that was dumb. I'm not doing that. So they don't do it. That's good. And now they can help out to fix these kids who got screwed for a year. When the state does it, they don't change for years. How do I know that? Common Core and my mayor last year going, we're finally, after 20 years, going to teach our kids to read. That literally happened. So now what we did is the entire state and the entire city was punished. There are 1 million kids, 1 million kids in New York City and the downstate school districts. 1 million. We screwed 1 million kids, right, for 20 years. So yes, to Ryan's point, will local school boards make mistakes? Yes, they are human beings. They'll make mistakes. Of course they will. One set of kids for 1 year versus millions of kids over 20 years. I'll take Ryan's way better. I'll take Ryan's. I like that one. Sal says, I graduated in 02. I missed No Child Left Behind. Also, the effects of Common Core working teenagers in restaurants. Yes, Common Core. What a garbage idea. Jesus Christ, what a garbage idea. Jess says, hey, guys, tell others Larry's live right now. Yes, Jess is correct. Do what Jess says. Yes. Michael Voss is here. No sound bites allowed. He says, Department of Education has led to less critical thinking. Yes. They throw money at the problem. Solutions has made things worse. Yes. I agree we need to get rid of the Department of Education, which is indoctrination camp. Yes. Yes, yes, and yes. 100%. So Morgan says, I graduated high school in 2006. It was one of the last generation to take home ec and shop. Yes, it began to go away because it became more competitive to get more money. Here's the problem. It sounds good when the president or when a congressman or senator goes, I have secured another $1 billion to our state. Look at what good I'm doing. That's actually not good, because what that does is now each district and school has to compete for those billions of dollars that he just took care of, right? So what does that mean? We got to get rid of home ec and shop because we have to spend time teaching the test so we can get those test scores up, so we can get kids into colleges, so we can get that money. So every time your federal elected official says, I just got more money for our school from the federal government, they just screwed your kids over, to Morgan's point. Because now they must compete more to get those dollars, because again, you're not the customer. The government is. The government's the customer. They make the government happy. You are in the way. How many times have you gone to a school and you go to a school board and they ignore you? Ignore you. Don't care what you say. Don't care. You're not the customer. You're in the way. How many times have you gone to a school and your principal treats you like you're garbage, mad at you? This is our rules, what we do. Why? You're not the customer. You're in the way. Why? Because this is why the Board of Elections, that's New York State. Why the Department of Elections, see what my head is. Department of Education is bad, because this is what happens. This is the end game of this. That's the problem. So yes. Roy says, took a junior high school secretarial class, typing. Most important a class I took because the computer generation was coming. My daughters didn't take typing. Crazy. Mike says, I think they have removed the Regents exam. I remember in New York and California, we're like the only states that had it and had to do it in school. Yes, I'm glad. Regents exams are stupid, have always been stupid. I've been saying it's stupid forever. Nobody cares. If you live in New York State and go, my daughter's going to Regents diploma, nobody cares. Don't waste your time. My daughter's graduating college early, 2 years early. Why? Because this is going to sound funny, but you'll get it if you live in New York. Her last year was lockdown year. And I said, why are you going to school? She said, what do you mean? They're not going to fail you. She said, what? I said, why are you going to school? She's like, you serious? Yeah. Why are you going to school? Don't go to school. I said, what? They're not going to fail you. It's lockdowns in New York State. They're going to pass you. Everybody gets a pass. They're not going to fail you. Don't bother showing up. Go to college. I'm not joking. I practiced what I preached. I sent my kid to college in her last year of high school. True story. She went to college her last year of high school. Don't go to school. Doesn't matter. They passed her, as I knew they would. And she did this year of college. Then she took summer classes and CLEP tests. So she's graduating in 2 years. My daughter will graduate with a 4-year degree in 2 years. Why? Because I know the system. I knew there was no way. First of all, I knew the last year of high school was useless. She'd missed nothing. And she missed nothing. It was irrelevant. And it was lockdown. And New York State has to pass you because money. Not because they care if you can read or write. That's irrelevant. Money. If I don't have my graduation rate up, my placement rate up, as long as my daughter was going to college, they're like, oh, she's going to college? We getting paid. Oh, didn't care. Passed her. She didn't show up. They passed her. Of course they would. Of course they would. That's how the system works. And most people think, well, they care about the kids. They don't care about your kids. I don't mean to be mean about that. I mean to flip it. Some of you who are new to me may think I'm just some kind of crazy guy who just says bad things. That's kind of true also. That is also true. But it doesn't mean I'm not wrong. I'm still correct in what I'm saying. Follow the money. That's what matters. Regents exams were just ways to keep your kid in high school. So they were. They meant nothing. Nobody's ever cared about Regents exams and still don't. Doesn't matter. So yes, I'm sorry. Anyway, Roger says, property tax finances local school districts. Education in cities is poorer because more renters and owners. Why? Because racial discrimination in banking and appraisals and high-paying jobs. So we're forced to stay in cities as renters. A lot of this is true, and that's why I want to fix it. I agree with you. No argument for me, which is why we should stop that. And think about this. In many states like New York, to deal with exactly this, I said same amount of money goes no matter what to every kid. So it doesn't matter where you are. Amount of money is the same. So whether you're from a rich area, poor area, doesn't matter. Money's the same. I want you being the customer, whether you're from a poor area and a renter or a rich area and owner or any difference. Number one. So I want, for the case of New York State, I think everyone should have this. You have a specialized fund you put together. Your bankers put it together, your renters, whatever. You put a bunch of money together. In New York State, you can easily do it with our large banks. It can easily be done. You copy the Norwegian model. The Norwegians have a great model, have lots of money, and socialize things, right? Now, everyone knows I'm not a socialist. I'm not, but I'm also realistic. Socialism works amazing when you add capitalism. Just add capitalism, and it's amazing. How do we know this? Look at Saudi Arabia. Socialize everything. Why? You're a country that's on top of an oil field. Norway, same thing. Luxembourg and Singapore are the opposite. They're a country on top of a bank. They're basically a country. They're a bank surrounded by a country. Well, if you're a bank surrounded by a country, socialize it all. You've got tons of money. Singapore also has almost $1 trillion in their sovereign fund. There's 5 million Singaporeans. If I got $1 trillion for 5 million people, I'm good. America's $37 trillion in debt. Or 35, whatever the number is. 30 something, right? $1 trillion in debt. Meanwhile, these countries have $1 trillion in the bank, in assets. Of course I'll do this. So my point is, I think you're right, Roger. If we do what I just said, then it doesn't matter. But here's the best part. If you actually did what I said in New York State and create a sovereign fund and then pay school districts directly, there's no need for school tax. And in New York State, I don't know the other states, but in New York State, school tax is about half of the property tax, give or take, depending on where you live, about half. You cut your property tax in half overnight. People can stay in New York State. Life becomes easier. So yes, Roger, I agree. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make that happen. So yes. Pinkerbell, how are you? Education in poor rural areas has drastically improved the last 40 years. The heavy focus on vocational programs now is a big plus too. The academic decline I'm seeing started more recently. This is an issue. I'm unsure how good or how bad the rural areas have been outside of New York State. When I look at New York State, our rural areas, I don't think that's true. I think most people would say the rural areas of New York State, at least, again, I don't know the entire country, but at least from my area, that education, even in rural areas of New York, was still pretty good 40 years ago. A lot of very savvy people came out of New York State high schools that were in rural areas. Western New York is very rural. North Country is very rural. Some parts of Southern Tier are very rural. There are many rural areas of New York State that I think decent schools. Where I grew up on as a teenager on Long Island, it wasn't rural, but it was suburban area out in Suffolk County. We had guys who literally went to the NFL. We had guys who went to good colleges, all kind of stuff. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I didn't see that here in New York State. I did not see that at all. So yes. Mike says, number of college administrators has increased 300% since the 90s. Thank you. It's the 90s. Similar result in public schools. Money is going to union salaries. I'm going to cover unions. Thank you for that, Mike. Again, great point. I didn't cover unions. Let me cover unions. I am not against teacher unions. I'm not against unions in general. Unions are literally the First Amendment, right? Freedom of speech and freedom of association. Workers should be able to compete directly in the market like anybody else. No problem whatsoever with unions. Here's my problem with public unions. Public sector unions negotiate with the wrong people. That's the issue. The public sector unions negotiate with the governor. That's the governor's money. He's trying to buy votes. That's why they're in the guy's pockets. They're buying votes. You can't do that. That's the problem. So two things. Public sector unions should not be able to give any money to any, and the two thing part, should not be able to give any money to any candidate who could affect them. None. You can't bribe your boss. What are you doing? You can't do that. You can't do that. So no public sector union should not be able to give money to any politician who can affect them. Should not. Number one rule. It's not true. But there's a second piece here. They're negotiating with the governor. They shouldn't. All public sector unions should have all of their contracts validated through ballot initiative. I'm not joking. Who's paying them? We are. We are. Wait a minute, Larry, you're saying you want a ballot initiative for a contract? Yes, why not? Well, won't we just screw them over? Why would you? Most people in states like New York, where it's hugely unionized, you know someone who's a union worker. I know union workers. Why would I screw my friend over? But I will want things, even locally. Wait a minute, so a local, sanitation workers or whatever? Yes, why not? Why not? What happens right now? Right now, if I don't want bike lanes in my city, but I don't want bike lanes in my city. Nothing. Go to hell, Larry, you get bike lanes. What if I have to instead vote on a union? And what if most of the people don't want bike lanes? And they go, end this bike lane, so I'm not going to vote for your raise. What? Yes. Yes. Do that. No bike lanes. All of a sudden I have power. Right now I have no power in my city whatsoever. None. What if I don't like them collecting my garbage at 2:00 in the morning, or doing it in the morning or at night, whatever? But if that in your local area, too bad. You're getting it. Shut up. You're getting it. Okay. How about I don't vote for your raise? What? Yeah. Now you negotiate with the people you're servicing. Guess what happens again? You're the customer. Note what I keep doing. I keep making the individual citizen the person who has power. The individual citizen is the person who has power. Negotiate with those people. Now, all that money they're spending right now, they're just spending money right now to bribe people so they can get raises. I would too. It's a system. I'm not mad at the union people. They're doing what they're supposed to do. We've made a system where if they bribe the governor, and if they bribe the senators, and they bribe the assemblymen, they get good raises. So what do? They bribe them. We've set that system up. Well, Larry, they have too much power. What if they didn't? What if the governor didn't okay the budget? Their budget. Didn't okay it, but we did, the people. Whoever they put their money on. Us. Yes. The tens of billions of dollars unions are giving to and supporting candidates would stop. And then take those tens of billions of dollars and give it to us in some way, in better service, in better marketing, in something, because we have to validate their contracts. We will become their customer again. Union's customer isn't us, it's the government. Do we see the common thread here? Why this doesn't work? We're in the way. We're not the customer. If now we negotiate all of the public sector unions through ballot initiatives and we vote on it as a group, they now have to have commercials not saying, this congressman is a bad guy, don't vote for him because the other guy will give us more money. That goes away. To now go to us and go, hey, Mike, would you like us to pick up your garbage on Thursdays or Fridays? Which is better for you, man? Who wants it? Let's do a plebiscite. Let's see who wants their garbage done on Tuesdays versus Thursdays. Done. Now it begins to work. How do you be policed? Do you want more people in your neighborhood? Do you want less? Do you want them on foot? Do you want them in a car? I don't decide. You do. And how do you have your power? You vote on the police union's contract. They will police how you like them to police. You want more, you want less, you want whatever. You get it. Now you get whatever the mayor tells you. Why? Because you're not the customer. You have no power. You're in the way. Anyway, I've yapped away. I want to keep going if I can. So Eddie says, Larry, good to be with you. Hands, yellow heart. Oh, thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Yes. New York says, up in rural New York, they're on the verge of making $200,000 just a matter of a few years. Yes. Yes. Making cash. Absolutely. Peter says, well, in New York, only union teachers make that. Yes, that's true. And yes, that's true. You do have some that you do have some teachers that don't make that good, make that good money. But compared to other states, even those, right? There are a lot of states where teachers are struggling horribly. New York, again, you're not super wealthy. You're not buying your third house. I'm not saying that. But for the vast majority of New York teachers, you do make a living wage. That was my point. And my point is, though, the actual administrators make a killing. They make a killing. Yes. James says, I agree. Standardized testing is awful at measuring intelligence. Correct. They only serve to waste our time. People who finish early are forced to wait and do nothing, or they wait for others to finish. All true. I'm not a fan at all. 100%. I'm not a fan. Yes. All righty. Peekaboo says, lots of Oklahoma teachers close enough to the border because they're going to Texas to teach because Oklahoma pays them jelly beans. Yes, thank you, Pinkerbell. That was my point, right? I recognize that New York is different in that regard, right? That's why I specify that. There are a lot of teachers in a lot of areas who struggle, and we should recognize that. In New York, that's not the case. Very strong unionized state. New York teachers, they're fine. They are totally fine. So yes. All righty. Let's see if I can grab some more. Dave says, Omaha Public School Superintendent, Omaha, Nebraska, $329,113. I wasn't kidding. Administrators make a crazy amount of money. Yes, absolutely. Yes, that is my point. Thank you very much, Dave, for that. I appreciate that. Yes, absolutely. So let's see if I can grab this. Morgan says, yeah, lol, vocation school was where they send the bad kids. Yeah, and that's sad that they thought that was true, right? People believe that stuff, Morgan. But then Peter says, BOCES, great air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, yes, we can technicians. Yes, someone has to do these. And here's the worst part. There are a lot of people who want to. It makes them happy. Why are we judging people? If you're happy in your work, how about I shut up and let you work? How about that? How about I have no comment unless you ask me? You want to work, you're happy working. How about I shut up and let you be happy? I think that's the best bet. I would like that, right? I would like that. It goes to another one, $275,543, Nebraska Public School Superintendent, one county south of Omaha. There we go. Yes, there we go. 100%. Yes. All righty. You guys have so many, as always. I do appreciate all the stuff you're doing here. So, Latte Larry. Nice name, Larry. Can you talk about New York rejecting RFK again? I'm actually speaking. I'll do an AMA tomorrow on some of that. I'm trying to stay, if I can, on this topic. This is a special one I do, which is called Sharpe Solutions. I want to stay on that topic if you don't mind. I will do an AMA tomorrow on that, or Saturday, one of the two. Tomorrow, Saturday. So I will open it up again 100%. Yes. Jacqueline says, you are definitely not joking. Yeah, you know it. Again, it's the funny thing. People are saying, as I say it, you're like, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yes, 100%. Ryan goes, I know many janitors, just not me. Handymen make tons of money, right? Tons of money. Jamie says, I went to SUNY College. For those who know what SUNY is, State University of New York. That's what SUNY stands for, if you're not from New York. A college for automotive technology in the early 90s. And when I was in high school, counselors were telling me to go to college for anything but a trade. Yes, Jamie, thank you. It started in the 90s. It started in the 90s. It absolutely did. Yes. Jacqueline, thank you. My daughter wants to be a welder and live in New York. The school's trying to push college in her. Terrible idea, Jacqueline. Do you know how much we need welders in New York State? Oh my God, please let your daughter be a welder if she wants it, obviously. Don't push her, obviously. If your daughter likes welding, please push her into welding. She'll be hired, I'm not joking, in 3 weeks. She'll be hired in 3 weeks. She will have a job. Now, if she doesn't like welding, that sucks, but she knows how, and maybe she could start a welding business and hire welders. So it still works. So yes. New York Liberty says, my nephew graduated last year. He'd been on the honor roll since 7th grade, decided he didn't want the debt of college and resisted. They weren't happy, of course. The guidance counselors went to, the guidance weren't happy, and he went to BOCES. He's now using BOCES training job, earning $32,000 a year plus benefits. With no debt. I have to stress that. $32K, right, out of high school with no debt. This is not a bad deal at all. There's a whole lot of 19-year-olds who will be happy with that. There's a whole lot who'd be jumping up and down for that. But they wanted to push him into college. Why? Because your guidance counselor is a bad person? No, because that's the system. And that's how they get paid. Mike says the only millionaire plumbers I know are the Mario brothers. Well, I know some here who are literally in New York because they're plumbers plus do stuff on the side, and that's to make their cash, right? They keep the union job or the big job to keep benefits. They have decent money, keep benefits. They do side work all the time, and they make thousands of dollars. They're not making $1 million every year, but they've been doing it for so much long. I'm not joking. They literally buy property. They're millionaires because they own property in New York City. That's why they're millionaires, right? Meaning net worth is over $1 million. So they do work, maybe them and a friend or them by themselves over time, 10 years, they put money away and they buy an apartment. Now they're handymen and plumbers and such, so they can fix the whole apartment building up on their own, on this, literally weekends. They work a regular job in a week. This happens all the time. I don't know if it happens in your area, Mike, but it happens in New York City all the time. 2, 3 plumbers know each other, or electricians, HVAC guys, whatever. They work for 5 years, whatever the number is, put a bunch of money together, buy an apartment building. It's a small one, maybe 4 apartments, 6 apartments, like that. They buy it, fix it. It's broken. They don't care. They're handymen. They literally fix it themselves. Every weekend they get together, and over the course of, say, a month or 2, they fix it up. They know how to do all the stuff because they can do it. They know all the people at the Department of Buildings, so they can get all the permits because they do it for their other job. Set it all up, knock it all out, rent it out. They're millionaires. Yes. If you own an apartment building in New York City, it's worth many millions of dollars. And that is 3 of you, 2 of you. One guy gets mad, you buy him out. Now he owns the rest. Yep. That's a common thing here. A common thing here. Yes. So anyway. All righty. Colidi says a lot of the you need to go to college is purely marketing to parents. That's true also. Thank you. Yes. Look, parents think so too. Right? Parents think it's the right answer. Parents aren't dumb. Parents aren't mean. I mean, some obviously are, but again, always is. Parents care about their kids. They do the right thing for their kids. They believe it's true. They've been told. And when they were younger, their parents told them that, because when their grandparents went to college, that was true. Those days have been gone for at least 20 years. Yes. Is it Greatest Carpenter B Chap? Did I get that right? Yep. It's a similar situation inside here in Australia as well. All along the world, it's the same thing. Yes, all along the world, it is the same thing. I completely agree. Yes. Roger says, Larry, this is definitely true in our community. The Bill Cosby type who put us on that track of turning, thank you, yes, our community away from the blue collar to embrace the PMCs, doctor, attorney, engineer. Yes. Look, I am not at all against anybody becoming a doctor or attorney or engineer, but you should go there not because your mom or dad tells you or society tells you. You should go there because you have a hankering to do that kind of thing. The amount of people I see nowadays who become doctors and quit, oh my God, it's like an epidemic. It's an epidemic. Lawyers. I know guys with law degrees who don't practice anymore. Like, I'm done. They don't want to do it. They shouldn't have done it. Don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with lawyers. I have a problem with lawyers who don't want to be lawyers. You want to be a lawyer, be a lawyer. But now you put all that money into all that stuff, and now you want to go be a carpenter or something? What a colossal waste of time. What a colossal waste of time. It's crazy. So yes. Speaking of lawyers, Roy says, lots of guys go to college to play and or root for sports teams, which of course are huge money makers for the school. Yes, they voluntarily give a lot of money to school. Yes, they voluntarily give a whole lot of money to school. It is kind of nuts. It is kind of nuts. So yes, the anti-corporatist says going into the military or the Peace Corps or something is certainly an option. Agreed. If they want to, I agree. I do not believe in the draft. And the draft is a terrible idea. I do not. I was in the military. I volunteered. I was a Marine. I volunteered to be a Marine. You should go in because you volunteer. But Larry, it'd be good if men go. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. You should not be pushed or forced into military service. You should go because you think it's the right thing. I'm not against it. It was good for me. I'm happy I did it. All I'm saying is, just because it was good for me doesn't mean everyone should be forced to do it. It means it was good for me. That's what it means. Good for me. So yes. All righty. So if I can grab some more of these. You guys going back and forth. I really appreciate all of these things. So yes. Dave says, I borrowed money from my credit union for my car. Me too. In fact, my first credit union was actually, believe it or not, it was Navy Federal Credit Union. I was a Marine at the time, and Marines could join the Navy Federal Credit Union. That's where I got my first loan for my car. I was an active duty Marine when I bought my first car, and yes, that's where I got it too. Credit Union, Navy Federal Credit Union, by the way, just to make clear of that. So yes, let's see here. Let's see if I can grab some of these. Okay, Jess asked, Larry, can you explain the endowments more and how and why places like Qatar fund certain universities? Yeah, right. Universities are basically can take in cash and they invest it like anything else, like a fund, right? It's their endowments. The endowments were supposed to be from alumni, right? So I went to whatever, X school. The school was good for me. I learned a lot from it. I got this good job or made this good career. I feel connected. So since I made so much money and I credit the college for some of this money, I give a chunk to the college. The college can take it, use it for whatever it wants, or, create a fund for it, raise money, whatever the case may be. That was what they were supposed to be. They are not that at all. Another thing was, if colleges would teach certain arts, then wealthy people would give money to the college so that the college would teach the arts and keep the arts alive. It was a secondary reason for endowments. Now there's simply a way of controlling colleges. Jess is correct. Places like Qatar or Qatar, it was pronounced Qatar, like Qatar, will literally say, we're going to write a check for X million dollars to this school. Well, why? So you'll teach what we tell you to teach. I'm not joking. Jess is correct. That actually happens. Yes. So now the endowments will take money from anybody. Doesn't matter who. Doesn't matter who. BlackRock wants to put money in. Okay, great. Teach what we tell you to teach. Who's the customer again? Oh, wait, not you. Not you. Qatar. I keep saying Qatar. Qatar. I used to pronounce it as Qatar. Qatar. BlackRock. They're the customer, not you. I wonder why my college degree is worthless. Because they don't care. You're in the way. Your college degree was very valuable for BlackRock and Qatar. They loved your degree in nothing. They love that degree. Jess is correct. That is how that works, sadly. So, yeah. So, well, Jess also, that's what I did for my first loan. My third car, Dave, credit union. Correct. Yes. There we go. Absolutely. Roy says, schools don't reach out to parents if the kid's not going to class or flunking or not doing well. But if you don't pay, they're reaching out the next day. Nice. I love that. Very nice. I do love that. Yes, that's good. All right. Jim says, ever since the deal we started, 79, I think. I thought it was 1980, but it was in that area. It might be 79, Jim. I know it's in that area of 1980. And it actually, to be forward, it did start before that, but not the way we see it, right? It was basically a repository for information since the 1860s, I believe, is when it first began. Basically like a library. But as we know it, you're right. It was 79 or 80, one of those two, but in the area. School performance has gone down. Yes, in fact, some people don't know this. Our IQ, our national IQ has gone down. Our average. I'm not joking. The average IQ, if I'm not mistaken, a while ago was like 102 or something. It's like around 100. Now it's under 100. Our average IQ went down. I don't know. Yes, absolutely. Yes, just crazy. Anyway, all righty. Let's see here. Let me grab a couple more if I could. All righty. Joel says there were no windmills on the electric grid until government money. Yes, correct. Morgan says bankers love bailouts too. Yes, however, but Morgan, what is a bailout? Government money. So that counts, right? Government money they love more than anything, and also small fines and fees. So yes, but that's also government money. So yes, absolutely. Roy says, got to get back to apprenticeships. Learn from those who do. Yes, yes, and yes. 100%. 100%. Absolutely true. So, all righty. I do see it. Wow, a lot of stuff coming back. I appreciate that. Jennifer is here. Hey, Jennifer, how are you? I see you. Yes. Anti-corporate says, in my experience, college classes don't care about attendance because they're getting paid. You're not the customer. If you don't show up, good. You have to come back and pay again. What do they care? You pay again. Absolutely. So, yeah. Colidi says, the whole we're doing it for the kids spiel is just a bait to pull on your heartstrings to get money. Yes. 100%. Absolutely. Morgan says, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't rural areas do a better job at homeschooling than urban areas? Yes, they do. It's true. You'll find more homeschooling there. There is some in urban areas, but you'll find more. And the reason you'll find is, to be clear, rural areas, many rural areas, not all, but many do, they still retain some form of institutional knowledge on how to take care of each other because they have to, right? Urban areas go to government for almost anything. So they've lost a lot of the institutional knowledge on how to take care of themselves, which even includes homeschooling. In urban areas, we call a cop for anything. Anything, call a cop. Doesn't matter what it is, call a cop. No matter what, call a cop. That's what we do in urban areas. So I think, yes, you're right. Generally speaking, obviously there are exceptions, obviously, but generally speaking, rural areas are better at homeschooling than urban areas. That's true. Most of the time they are. So yes. Roy says, one problem with teachers unions, whereas the other unions, for example, Teamsters, their client is more important than the product. But teachers teach the most important product in America, our children. So the children should be prioritized. No argument from me. Yes. No argument from me. I like that tremendously. So yes. All right. James says, average IQ in the United States is shrinking. I wonder what's causing IQ to shrink. Yeah. Good point. Yes. Good point. Yes, absolutely. I do love how that works. That is good. Dave says, blame smartphones. You know, you're probably right. Yes, you're probably right. That's probably an accurate statement. I do like that. Thomas says, as a veteran, I'd prefer someone who wanted to serve over someone who was first to serve. 100% yes, brother. Yes. Me too. 100%. Yes. I don't want people next to me fighting who don't want to be here. I want you to volunteer. And people might say, well, Larry, what if we don't get enough people? This is going to sound harsh, but I stand by this. If America was actually in some form of war or something like that, and there weren't enough young men who were prepared to volunteer and who were capable of volunteering to defend our country is not worth defending. And I'll stand by that every day of the week. If our young men either don't want to or are physically unable to, what have we done to our young men and to our people? We don't deserve it. Let us go under. 100%. Young men flock to war all the time throughout history, constantly. It's a chance for young men to prove themselves. They all think they're indestructible. I did. I thought no one could kill me. I'm 18. I know everything. That's what I thought. That's what like all 18-year-old boys think. If they don't want to do it and can't do it, we have done something wrong. We have done something wrong. Yes. Yeah, 100%. Guys, I know I want to make sure of something. I know I've said it before, but I got to say it again. Please click the button that is like. I say it 1,000 times because it matters 1,000 times. You know I get shadow banned all the time. If you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, please share or retweet this or repost this. It does matter. Thank you all for the super chats. I appreciate it. If any of you want me to keep doing this, then support by clicking the join button on Larry Sharpe YouTube. It's $29 per month. You can do it also, by the way, on Facebook if you want to be watching on Facebook. You click on Facebook. It's cheaper. It's like $2 a month. It's cheaper on Facebook because I put more detail here on this one. But you can do Facebook if you want to. All good. If you want to subscribe, it's all awesome. But no matter what, click the like button. It does matter. I know I say it because it matters. Please do that. All right, guys. I will be on again tomorrow. I'm going to go check out Miss Harris's interview coming up here too. Our maybe soon to be president. Check that out. I will also be on Saturday. Also Monday evening too. So I have a bunch of shows and I'll be a guest on several shows coming up here. I'll let you know which ones they are coming up here so you can watch those too. I'll post them here on Facebook and I will see you all. Before I do it, you know my rules. Guys, please, afterwards, come on back. Keep Mr. Rhythm. Al Gore. First name, middle name, last name, Rhythm. Keep him happy. Come back afterwards. When I'm done, put down a comment. I'll respond. Makes him very happy. And we have to keep him happy. I will see you all.